Well, as the countdown to January 22nd has begun, Ram Temple's consecration ceremony in Ayodhya, or the opening ceremony for Ayodhya's Ram Mandir, the temple town is set to see an economic boom, and businesses and those in search of a job are hopeful. Now, three firms, Delhi-based CP Kukreja Architects, Canada-based Lee Associates and L&T, chalked out the master blueprint for Ayodhya. And joining us for an exclusive interaction today is Dikshu Kukreja. He is the Managing Principal Architect of CP Kukreja Architects. Thank you for your time. While steering the architectural transformation in the legendary city of Ayodhya and having worked closely through the developmental phase throughout, what are your thoughts on the way in which Ayodhya will be identified with today?
Yes, I think it's a very exciting moment, and I can say a defining moment for everyone who has been involved with and who is now experiencing the fervor with which Ayodhya has transformed and continues to be in the process of transformation. I think it's a very significant moment in, I would say, world history. For us as planners, as an urban planner, I feel it's been a great opportunity to be able to, literally take up a city which has such unmeasurable, unmatchable historical, spiritual and cultural significance and take it forward into the future, into the 21st century, retaining its old world charm and grandeur, and yet making it a city which is very livable, not only for today's times, but also for times to come.
All right. Now, as someone who is planning the city of Ayodhya, share with us your near-term and long-term goals for economic growth in the city.
That's an important question. It's very important as a planner to take cognizance of the fact that, our job, our profession teaches us that we need to really gaze into the future. We need to examine all kinds of scenarios. Certainly, we need to diagnose what has been in the past for the city, but we need to be very carefully watching that, the transformation that the city is making. In this particular case, the coming up of the Ram Mandir is obviously poised to take the city by leaps and bounds into another spin altogether. So it was very important as an urban planner to see that this city, which is bound to grow both in the short term and in the long term, how we can plan that the city can grow sensibly, sustainably, and be at all times self-sufficient. So from that point of view, we looked at the short-term measures of the moment the Ram Mandir would have come up. We started our work in April of 21. So we knew that in another 2.5 years, the city would be, going through this dramatic spurt in its growth, and then it will continue to grow. So yes, in fact, short-term, medium-term, and long-term measures were very carefully mapped out by us.
All right. By when do you think the real impact on growth in jobs across sectors or an economy really flourishing could be witnessed in Ayodhya?
I would say Ayodhya is already witnessing a massive change. If you have seen Ayodhya of 2021, that's just 24 months ago, to the Ayodhya of now, January 24, you will see that there's been a remarkable change in the city. So even in terms of job opportunities, in terms of the infrastructure that has come in terms of the potential for further employment and economy, Ayodhya is poised for a real growth. So I see changes happening in Ayodhya's on the economic front in Ayodhya immediately, I would say, right after the January 22 function, when you will suddenly see such a huge amount of tourists and spiritual believers, religious believers who would be thronging the city. And then this will continue to happen. I'm sure it's going to plateau at a certain point, but it will also continue to grow. So one is going to see a lot of economic change in the complexion of this city. And fortunately, in its vision plan, all these things have been thought through. So I can say with a great amount of confidence and satisfaction that Ayodhya has been mapped and planned very well, that it can take and absorb this kind of growth in its population, in its economic activity in the years and decades to come.
All right. Your thoughts on the growth in spiritual tourism in the country, and of course, any projections on just how much uptick spiritual tourism will see now?
So if we look at hard numbers in the case of Ayodhya, there are a lot of aspects being talked about, but one hears definitely of a spurt in spiritual tourists who will be coming to this city, and we are hearing numbers like 300,000 or 3 lakh tourists coming to the city per day. Now that's a massive number. One is also looking at an investment of about 85,000 crores coming into the city in various aspects and through various models, whether it is through the government or public-private partnership, or of course the private investment which is coming into Ayodhya. So one can see that there's a large growth that is coming forward for Ayodhya. And in terms of population, the permanent population versus the visitor population to Ayodhya is an outstanding number of 1 permanent resident to 10 tourists coming there. So 1:10 is something one sees in only select places in the world, like let's say the Vatican City and some other such places. So that has its own kind of challenges and own kind of opportunities. So I think there's a huge growth one is seeing here. The population of Ayodhya probably doubling in the next 15 to 20 years, and the economic growth, of course, poised for a multiplier effect here as more and more employment opportunities arise.
Right. Well, significant projections there. But lastly, development also means stakeholders need to contribute to the vision. What, to your mind, are areas that businesses and consumers must be mindful of to be able to see sustainable growth in the city of Ayodhya?
I think first and foremost, we need to understand that any city, if it has to grow in a balanced and sustainable manner, it must be provided with adequate infrastructure. Now, infrastructure can start from the fact that, how is the connectivity of the city? Many cities, we see that the old city, the inner cities, across India particularly, we see them crumbling because the infrastructure cannot support the kind of population or the kind of activities that the city is taking up. So in this particular case, whether it is the old city, going back to the concept of commercial activity on the ground floor and residential on the upper, this has to be now practiced in a sustainable manner. Other aspects of infrastructure, whether it is water supply, renewable sources of power generation, waste management, adequate roads, pedestrianization, giving the public, the masses, the common man, the public space, which is lacking in most of our cities, rejuvenating the river, giving a lot of greenery and green public spaces in the city. These become the lungs to sustain a city. So as long as these kind of things are maintained and retained, it's very important. Also to retain the character of the old city, having the kind of aspects we have looked at, uniform signage, uniformity in materials, giving public street infrastructure, the kind of stone lampposts, benches, etc., making the city safe, secure for all kinds of citizens, from senior citizens to children to women. All these aspects are what make a city livable, what make a city thrive. And I think these aspects are something we need to continuously sustain and maintain in Ayodhya to keep it really at that upper quotient of livability and sustainability.
Absolutely. I'm sure it is in many ways a delight for you to see this all come through now in reality, the genesis for which started quite a while back for you and all the teams working on this. Thank you for this interaction.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.